Let's talk about the real reason the Giants were at the Penn State Pro Day, though. And it's not to talk to Saquon about offensive linemen. It was to look at this guy, probably. Theo Johnson, not to be confused with Theo Huxtable. And, he was a guy that a lot of scouts and, college football guys and draft analysts and, all the talking heads on TV were very mixed on. Because he's kind of that guy that was seen kind of like a project. Like all the physical tools you could possibly want. Not necessarily the best outcome on the football field, though, necessarily. Wasn't bad in Penn State. I'm not bashing him in that regard. But he wasn't a guy that blew the top off with numbers. He definitely wasn't that guy in any way, shape, or form. So he's an interesting one to look at what he does, because let's be honest, if he looks really good, you go, what did Penn State do wrong? Which we've asked about that with some players in general. But the Giants staff said that he will be the second tight end taken off the board, which I thought was interesting. So Ben Sinnott was actually the second one taken off the board by the Commanders. And our second best, remember, we had our picks there. We had our rankings, was Jatavion Sanders of Texas, who went to the Panthers. So I thought it was very interesting that they thought, like, they weren't even like, hey, we think he's the second best tight end. They said, no, he'll be the second tight end taken off the board, is what they said. So obviously that means they talked to other people who really thought very high of Theo Johnson there. They also were quick to say he is checking every box and called him a prototype, which I thought was interesting because that just solidifies what we said a minute ago. He has all the physical tools. He has the perfect size. He's got every single thing you could possibly want in a prospect, except the numbers on the field. So I'm curious to see what they see, because I feel like if you're high on him when he shows these abilities in college, you must think Penn State is using him wrong. You must think Penn State is teaching him something wrong. Like, there's got to be some way, shape, or form that you're blaming Penn State for this debacle. Because here's a guy who is not just the prototype for, tight ends, but a guy who literally mimics some of the best tight ends athleticism-wise. With Jimmy Graham and him, we talked about him. Their combine numbers were almost identical. So,
yeah,
kind of curious to see what goes on forward. And I love to see, maybe we'll have to get somebody as a Penn State guy later on the show once the season starts, to see if they can compare what he did at Penn State compared to what the Giants have him doing. Because I'm curious what the difference in those two things is going to be. Because I really think that's got to be where the Giants are at.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Enter to win a Daniel Jones signed jersey. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs, and email a screenshot to 2giantgoofballs@mail.com to enter. Only one submission allowed per subscriber. Monthly subscribers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs will get an additional 2 entries. Contest ends when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. This contest is not affiliated with the NFL, New York Giants, Daniel Jones, or any other person or company besides the 2 Giant Goofball podcast. Good luck to everyone.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.